Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co host, Trey Holiday. And you guys know I get to throw it on over to my co host and beloved friend, Omari Salisbury. What's up, Big O?
So we're gonna have to work on this, Trey, because we're in the same studio again. So it's not even you had to throw it over back when we were doing our thing, what I'm saying, remotely. So we were together. Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. How are you?
We gotta take it back to the good old days. Remember the good old days? I'd be like, Treyana, it's good to see you. You bring so much fantabulism here to the set, this overwhelming black girl magic just exuding from come on, man. Let's pull it back. Let's get it back together now. We reunited like we know we should.
Exactly. Absolutely. You are so right. I am doing so well this morning, my friend. I had a great sleep. You know what I'm saying? Ready to get this day going. How are you, Omari?
Man, I'm doing good. Long day yesterday, man. My TV viewing this day is much different. I'm watching press conferences, I'm watching debate, watching Seattle channel, you know what I'm saying? But it was real interesting yesterday. I caught KCN's press conference, Black Brilliance, and we'll talk about it there in a second. Also, the NAACP carried their president form last night, which was real interesting because three definitely unique candidates in Erwin Chappelle, Deontay Demper, and Shirley Riley Payne, and three totally different candidates. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes with the NAACP. But first thing we'll do this morning, and we haven't really talked about it in a minute, is the national story. Is still, Trump's still like, yo, man, bad bag. We got a story right here from Good Morning America, ABC.
ABC News has now projected the winner in all 50 states, Joe Biden winning 306 electoral votes to President Trump's 232, and ahead by more than 5.5 million in the popular vote. But President Trump is still not conceding, and former President Barack Obama is sounding the alarm about that in a new interview. Our Mary Bruce is in Washington, has the latest on that. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Robin. Well, it's now been over a week since it became clear that Biden would be the next president, and there is now a growing chorus of voices warning that the president's refusal to admit defeat is damaging to our country and our democracy. And just as it seemed that President Trump was beginning to recognize reality that he lost, he's now taking another step backwards. As President Trump refuses to concede, this morning, former President Obama is urging Trump to live up to his own motto and put America first.
My advice to President Trump is if you want, at this late stage in the game, to be remembered as somebody who put country first, it's time for you to do the same thing.
In his first interview since the election, Obama says Trump is denying reality, describing his behavior as a danger to democracy.
When your time is up, then it is your job to put the country first and think beyond your own ego and your own interests and your own disappointments.
Over the weekend, the president seemed to recognize Joe Biden's victory, briefly acknowledging on Twitter Sunday Biden won the election, only to walk it back. Trump tweeting, "I concede nothing. We have a long way to go." The president continues to falsely insist he actually won, claiming without any evidence that the election was somehow rigged against him. But nearly every lawsuit his team has filed has been thrown out. While Trump vows to keep waging his uphill legal battle against the results, thousands of his supporters this weekend flooded the streets of the Capitol.
Stop the steal! Stop the steal!
Rallying behind the president and flocking to his motorcade as Trump, in a nod of approval, did a drive-by on his way to his Virginia golf club. As night fell, tensions rose, Trump supporters clashing with counter-protesters, leading to at least 20 arrests. And as COVID cases surge, the president is all but ignoring the virus. He hasn't attended a meeting of his coronavirus task force since the beginning of the summer. Dr. Anthony Fauci now urging the Trump team to work with the incoming Biden administration.
It's almost like passing a baton in a race. You don't want to stop and then give it to somebody. You want to just essentially keep going. And that's what transition is. So it certainly would make things more smoothly if we could do that.
Biden's team is being blocked from sensitive information and coordinating with federal agencies. His new chief of staff warning it could hinder preparations for a vaccine.
Our experts need to talk to those people as soon as possible so nothing drops in this change of power we're going to have on January 20th.
Now, the concern here, of course, is that without a smooth transition, it could impact or hinder the rollout of a vaccine. Biden and his team are trying to get ahead of this. This week, they'll be meeting with some of the vaccine producers. And today, Biden and Kamala Harris will be speaking out about their plan for an economic recovery. They are trying to forge ahead, even as their hands are tied.
All right. So you heard the president. He said, I can see nothing. What are your thoughts, Trey Holiday?
I mean, this is something that I think a lot of people in the country really expected. The way that he's been acting over the last 4 years, the way that we've seen his decisions play out, a lot of us have been thinking he was not going to actually do this in a civil way, you know, the real American way. You know, I think there were some that were hoping, you know, no, he loves this country. You know, he knows that he'll do what's right when the time comes. But a lot of people out there in the streets have been like, you know what, he ain't gonna do this. We know he's gonna, you know, try to stay there to the last drop. Maybe, you know, the forces will have to come and drag him out, man.
Yeah, well, you know, the transition's got to happen here sooner or later. There's a lot of information that needs to go from one administration to another. I know the president, he said it all right there. I can see nothing. We're going to keep an eye on that. All right, bringing it back here locally, and this may be something you can jump in on. I know you're part of King County Equity Now Coalition, but King County Equity Now, they had a press conference yesterday talking about the Black Brilliance and some of the research. A small clip right here of Sean Glaze.
One of the top priorities for the city council budget that is coming up across community groups is the need for a holistic crisis response. What I want people to really understand is community wants a response that is more than just the crisis. We want more than just people's worst moment. We want a response that is really, you know, that looks and feels and loves like us and cares for each other like us. And so that means being proactive in terms of taking care of each other, being able to provide for people's basic needs, being able to provide for people's emotional, behavioral, spiritual, community, relational needs, as well as a response that looks at when you are in crisis, what is something that's actually helpful?
All right, so that was Sean Glaze right there. And what they said was community is looking for different types of, at least this is what the Black Brilliance research is saying. There was quite a few people on that press conference. I know David Hepard was there, Imani Danish, Inye Wakoma, a few other people. But Trey, what are your thoughts? You're part of King County Equity Now, and I know you're up on this Black Brilliance. What's it all about?
Yeah, you know what? I think Sean is exactly right. What they were pointing to is that the community is speaking to this holistic approach. That's what's needed right now. I think so many people are saying that, and we've been saying it, hey, you cannot treat the symptom. We have to think about the cure. And that's really what a lot of what we're hearing out here in the research is that people are pointing to the specific sectors that really need some help and saying, look, we don't want some approach that's going to be transactional. One thing that I love that Sean was just speaking to is that this relational community approach, that people do want care in that regard, that we need more spaces to be able to build those relations, and that's really how we have a real community and how people begin to care for one another. So I love that people are really understanding right now what we need is a holistic approach.
Right. And now, is this research still ongoing, or have they concluded all the research?
The research is still going. There are teams out there that are spreading this because we want to make sure it's very inclusive. So it's not a project that's looking to be done very quickly. This is something that we need to hear from folks so that we can really establish solutions that answer the call that they're actually giving us.
All right. So I guess we'll continue to check in with KCEN.
Absolutely. It's something going.
All right, next up. So the NAACP, Seattle King County, they had their presidential forum last night. This was the official one put on by the NAACP. We were able to carry it for them here on Converge. It was good. It was lively. The chat was lit. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it's up there across all of the Converge media platforms. 3 totally different candidates for sure. And I think that the NAACP, whoever they choose for president, whoever they elect for president, is definitely going to take the organization in probably 3 totally different directions. This is just a short clip from last night with each of the candidates quickly saying something about themselves.
First, we'll begin with Chappelle. And Erwin, I'd like you to take 2 minutes to introduce yourself and why you think you should be the next president.
I've served honorably for my community for the past 31 years as an officer in the Seattle Fire Department.
Just to give you a little history about where I've been, I actually started doing my advocacy work within POCAN. I know all community members know about POCAN, the People of Color Against AIDS Network.
I'm currently serving as president. And in this space, I have brought the community respect back to the NAACP. I'm working on rebuilding with my executive committee and with the community. I'm working on reconnecting. We have done some amazing things during this COVID time I've been president since April.
All right, so we saw there Erwin Chappelle, Deontay Demper, Carolyn Riley Payne. And Carolyn Riley Payne is actually the current president of the NAACP, Seattle King County. This is a big deal and kind of newsworthy because, the NAACP, Seattle King County, they've had a kind of a turbulent last 12 months. And people are, no matter what, it's good to see like a sense of normalcy return to one of the oldest civil rights organizations, not only here in the state of Washington, but in the United States.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm loving that they actually said, hey, Converge, will you guys, can we work with you guys to make sure this information is out to the public? Because again, a lot of things that happen are, in the meetings. And if you're not an NAACP member, if you're not on the board, then a lot of that stuff you're not learning about if you're not logging on to the public meeting. But I do think that it was great to hear from these 3 candidates and really for the people to hear from them. Because again, you're right. These are 3 different directions. And it's going to be interesting to see what the people want in terms of leadership.
Yeah, a big shout out to NAACP, no matter for the members, no matter who you end up voting for. I think it's great that they wanted to put this process out here on Converge, make it very transparent, open to the public. They're inviting transparency and inviting new members. So, you might want to check out NAACP, Seattle King County. Triana, next thing up here, man, it's this KEIRO building is back in the news, so to speak. I'm seeing lots of emails and tweets and retweets and some of everything else. There's the KEIRO building, on 16th and Yesler. It used to be an adult care, an elder care home, and basically serving like Japanese and Asian American community. They closed that down. It was sold to Shelter Holdings in Bellevue. Shelter Holdings wanted to make it market rate housing. So in the CD, people legacy from the CD wouldn't be able to live in this building in the CD. And now Shelter has agreed to sell it back now to African Town Community Land Trust or City of Seattle. And so hopefully I've brought everybody up to speed here. I got a few clips about this KEIRO building because I want to have a real discussion about this. Some of these are about a week or 2 old, but I interviewed KY King Carrot of African Town Community Land Trust, my audio is crazy, and also Council Member Shama Sawant. So let me play Y King here first. This was October 28th.
We have a unprecedented opportunity here where there was a square block of a square block in the Central District on 16th and Yesler, right across from the historic Langston Hughes Performing Arts Center. And the organization had challenges and was, in a situation where they chose to sell, and it was acquired by Bellevue-based developer Shelter Holdings, which was proposing a market rate development, which would really just accelerate the displacement, would not be affordable to most of our community members, definitely not a lot of our creatives that are, working at, the Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute. And community really rallied to say, we no to, this type of, predatory speculative development in our community. And based upon that, the developer, decided to halt the development and has offered to, sell the property so that it can be used as equitable development, and so this release is Councilman Sawant, stood and has, stepped forward to champion this as as the critical opportunity that it is for the city to support equitable, heritage-rich, inclusive development, similar to what has been what we've worked on at Liberty Bank Building and now Africa Town Plaza. And now we have an opportunity for a square block to be redeveloped. And that's the long term. In the short term, it presents a much needed opportunity for emergency shelter with culturally responsive resources and services to serve our community.
All right. So KY King Garrett, right, talking right there. I got another clip here with Councilmember Shama Sawant, but Shama Sawant wanted $13.8 million out of the city budget to be able to buy the property from Shelter Holdings. So I talked to Councilmember Sawant. This was back on October 28th as well.
We've seen in the last decade the entire city being denuded of its working class population and marginalized communities because of the skyrocketing rents, the insane price of housing here. And we've seen tens of thousands of working people being pushed out of the city, facing longer commutes. And we're seeing escalating homelessness as well. So in addition to the pandemic and the recession that ordinary people are being faced with right now, we already had a housing affordability crisis. And the sharpest point of this housing affordability crisis, of course, has been seen in the fact that the Central District, which used to be over 80% Black at one time, is now, in 2016, the statistics showed it was less than 18% Black, and now it's even less than that. So it is really a mission for those of us who are fighting against racism and for housing affordability and for this city to be affordable and livable for all of us, regardless of income, not just for the rich. It is important that we push forward on housing affordability on every front. And this project from Africa Town is a very important opportunity for us to bring in some affordable housing in our district. And it's right on Yesler. This is the kind of affordable housing we want, where we have our community come back and live in the Central District.
All right, Councilmember Shama Sawant right there. And like I said, the council member is looking for $13.8 million from the city budget. And also the council member proposed a lot of different ways at the time in the full interview of funding that. One was defund the police, $13.8 million. Another one was tax Amazon, get some more money from there. And a few other, another one was the $13.8 million from the $30 million of the sale of the Mercer block. All of that, Trey Holiday. I've played a White King clip. I've played a council member Sawant clip. My friend, your work over there at African Town Community Land Trust. What's the story with KEIRO?
Yeah, I'm glad that you played those two clips because they really offer a foundation about what we really hope to do with this space. And ultimately, both KY King Garrett and Shama Sawant are right. there is a void right now in our city, and that space was going to be utilized for shelter. And that's what we want to do immediately, is activate that space and bring in 200 family members, 200 individuals to actually be there and get themselves off of the streets. That for me is first and foremost, because we don't want to, you have the space be vacant. We want it to be full of families with services that are culturally relevant and responsive and really addressing their needs. We really have a real coalition of so many people in the community. When I think about the stakeholders of this space, community passageways, Deaf Chef Kitchen, Africatown Community Land Trust, people coming together because they have expertise in specific areas that are going to benefit this space. When I did the tour of this space, let me tell you, I thought, wow, look at how much we can incubate in this space. They have a small salon there. So if there's young folks who want to get into cosmetology, there's a whole opportunity for mentorship right there in that space. They have a full commercial kitchen. When Dev Chef and I went in there and toured, it's like, look at all of the possibilities, all of the meals that we can make for our community, and have community dinners, because they actually have spaces for that, like cafeteria areas, and opening it up for maybe Sunday dinners. These are kinds of ideas that are happening, and I'm really excited because with the acquisition of this building, we can actualize all of those ideas.
Right. And this is, so it's coming out the city budget. Well, at least this is what the council member is proposing. So that means that city stakeholders, 700,000 people live in the city. It's one way or another, people are getting taxed. Believe me, this city is good at getting some tax dollars out. I mean, what's your elevator pitch to, because clearly when you talk community, and we hear that in city council, and a lot of people understand what you're saying, but in speaking to a broader Seattle audience, why should the city of Seattle commit $13.8 or $14 million to this project?
Well, I actually think that the city is speaking to that. When we look at that survey that was just had by those districts, and the first thing that they said, the top priority was homelessness. We got to find innovative ways to address that. I think that really speaks to the concern. Right away, people are seeing that people are desolate on the streets. So this is an opportunity to bring some of those families off of the streets. And that's the first thing I'll say. Secondly, I will say that, again, when we talk about thriving communities, and when we talk about communities that are fully resourced and able to provide programs and institutions and entities that help elevate people's lives, we don't see a lot of these disparities. And so we need to really think about these micro-targeted areas in terms of community, so that we can have solutions that come from people in the community and that are supporting those in the community. I think KEIRO really represents an opportunity to do just that.
That is true. If you go by the research that DSA put out, the Downtown Seattle Association said that 45% of all residents in Seattle, the pressing concern by far was homelessness. Yeah. So what you're saying is this is a project to address homelessness.
Absolutely, first and foremost.
Okay. Let's see what's next with it. So someone has introduced something, and what the council needs to vote on it?
That's correct. So this week, people have the opportunity to do public comment. They can click on the link at 7:30 and sign up. Public comment starts at 9:30 on Wednesday and Thursday. So they have that opportunity if they want to voice their concerns about this project.
Man, let me tell you, public comment, dog. You gotta be brave to sit up. Sometimes public comment's 5 hours long. Good God.
The public is getting engaged, though. That's what we said. We say, take your stake back. Don't just let those guys do what they want to do. Tell them exactly what you want them to do. So I think that I love public comment for that reason. And I like even you hearing you saying that it could be 5 hours long. Normally people weren't getting in. Now people are engaged in the process.
All right. No, I hear you. All right, bringing it back to some COVID stuff. We like to follow up with people. So one of the people I reached out to was Brandon Hersey, school board director, District 7. And I was asking if there was any any special additional information to be able to pass on. And it says K-12 schools are exempt from governor's restrictions. Whoa, that went fast. And I got it. Special education services will go on as mail. Everything is planned. Basically, what he's saying is everything the governor was saying. But, it's important that we reach out so we can make sure that, from a street level, people who represent our kids in their district, that they're saying the same thing. So Hersey was basically saying everything is all good. Well, it's not all good. It's basically what the governor was saying.
Right. It's good to hear that they're in alignment. I mean, sometimes that's what really brings about public concern is when we're hearing different things. So honestly, I'm glad that you were able to get that kind of reassurance from Brandon Hershey. We know that they're in alignment.
Yep. And now we had Mayor Durkin here yesterday. And let's put this up here. This was what the mayor talked about yesterday. And we're gonna spend a little bit of time here going over this so people can really get it. And what's available is rental assistance. Ooh, I gotta take those out. Rental assistance, utility discount program and deferred utility payments, small business stabilization grants, small business residential and nonprofit rental eviction moratorium, food assistance and senior meals, and grocery vouchers for 13.5 thousand families, which expanded in October. Disaster relief fund for immigrants, closed with awards in early December. And so what I want to do here is bring up the website. And let's see, I need to remove this. I figure out how to do it here. All right, here's the website right here. We talked about it yesterday, and we want to really encourage people. If you need services, this is seattle.gov/mayor/COVID-19 is this actual web page right here. And this is where you can go on the city's website here in the office of the mayor, and you can go and you can look up resources, apply for resources, and some of everything else. They've tried to consolidate things. Let me scroll down here a little bit. So it's like, here's resources. So if you need healthcare, hygiene, here's free COVID testing, healthcare access, on and so forth. Food support, you can find here where food support is at. Rent, utility bills. So basically, our job is to get this information out to the general public, to make it available for people to be able to use. You know what I'm saying? And so right there, it's on the mayor's page. There's also, really almost all across all the city of Seattle pages there, but this is the office of the mayor. So it's seattle.gov/mayor/COVID-19. There's also seattle.gov, I think just /COVID-19. And you can get information there based upon these resources that Mayor Durkin came on the show yesterday, and she talked about these. So people in our community, if you live in the city of Seattle, in the municipality, these are different services that are available to you around COVID-19 and relief programs. And, we want to stay on top of all of that. As you know, Trey Holiday, let me get rid of this right here. As you know, we got to bring the fight to COVID. You know what I'm saying? And even though we're a small media outfit here, we really need to be able to do our very best to every single day give our community the best information.
You know what? That's exactly right. Oh, and ultimately, I love when people are looking to us for that information. They know that they can find it on this platform. That to me is what makes me excited about doing this work. Also, too, there was a lot of information when COVID first hit, and it's great to know that now everything is kind of resourced. The mayor has this website that people can just look at. Some of those resources even indicate if you live outside of the city of Seattle that you can still take advantage of some of those resources. So I like that it's also taking that kind of approach. The county, King County, is also having its level of resources so that people outside of Seattle and that live throughout the county are also resourced and well informed.
Yeah, it'd be good if we can get council member Gurmai Zahalai back on air. First time during the shutdown, we talked to council member Zahalai a lot. be good if we get the council member back on here and we the council member can talk about some of the resources that are offered out in King County. I know that his district, part of it is in King County, unincorporated King County. We talk about Skyway, but then it's further south in King County as well, where a lot of our community members are, where they're out now living. So see if we can get somebody from King County, either one of the council members or somebody in county government that can come on as well and be able to point out where resources are and how people are able to find them. I'll tell you one thing though, before we go to break, and we got Chip in on the other side of the break, is that like, it's crazy because a lot of people are now losing their job. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of people who just got back to work. There's people, they just now got back to work, and they talk about the service industry and things like that. There's people who I know who like, man, I just got back to work like 2 weeks ago. And now a lot of them come midnight tonight or tomorrow, they're going to be out of work. And, I just wanted to say that, like, when people talk about these layoffs, business closes and everything else, it's always just bring down to a number. Oh, this many people laid off, this many people, or just a paycheck. Oh, well, of course, paycheck's important, pay rent and everything. But I always say, like, yes, there's a paycheck, but let us not underestimate the sense of pride and dignity that comes along with working, especially in an industry like the service industry, bartenders and waiters. This rollback's not only going to deprive so many of them of their pay, but equally important, it deprives them of a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. It's that sense of accomplishment that you have of a job well done. And that's what's being deprived as well. And so I wanted to say that, like, I know Converge Media, we're a real small media outfit. We struggling ourselves, but want to say to everybody out there in the service industry that's going to be going home tonight that we see you, and we hope to greet you again in 4 weeks. And until then, we'll say cheers. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بلشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury. Oh, look at Director Oya says, good posture. Oh, good posture. Thank you. And I'm joined in studio by a very talented co-host,
Trey Holiday, y'all. Hey.
Everybody was so happy to see you yesterday, Treyana. It was like, Trey's back, Trey's back, Trey's back. And walk into the light, came and got some great photos. You know what I'm saying? Epic. It's good to have you back here.
You know what? It's good to be back, man. I really missed all of y'all. Honestly, I did. And so I'm excited to be back. Thank you for working really hard to get this studio ready for us to all return.
All right. All right. Well, it looks like I'm going to hand it over to you here, and we'll let Oya bring our guest into the studio. It looks like we have Gerald from Chip In. And I will say this before I slide it over to you. That Chip In looks like they got something really great going on. They're trying to give away a bunch of turkeys and some other stuff, but I'll let you get all the answers.
Yes. Thank you. Let's bring in Gerald, please. You there? Can you hear me?
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Blessed, highly favored, just like you. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And before I even get into my questions here, I just want to thank you for what you're doing. I am a Federal Way resident, so I just got to say, I'm loving that you're doing this and that you're targeting the Federal Way area. So thank you for that.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. It's all glory to God first and foremost, but also to the community, because without the community, this isn't an option. We can put a feel-good story out there and some technology to it, but the community really came together to support this initiative. So it's a team effort.
And that's what I love the most. Let's get right into it. Tell us what Chip In is all about.
Amen. Yeah. So Chip In is really the most rewarding way to fund your community. We raise funding and capital for all communities, closed networks, for-profits, nonprofits, but we validate for-profit, nonprofit EINs, validate real people as a business entity. You can't just throw up a fundraiser on our platform and say, hey, I got my bike stolen, I need some help, and scam our system. We really validate and find people who need help and connect community engagement around it with a B2C model, driving donors into customers for local partnerships and sponsorships as well.
Wow, that is very integrated.
Amen, amen.
Oh man, you guys really are taking a comprehensive approach. So you're actually raising monies for turkeys to give to Federal Way residents. What inspired this campaign?
Yeah, so our first initial launch in July with the Federal Way School District, Dr. Campbell and her staff and all the administration there have been phenomenal. And I just see a lot of the resources that don't follow into South King County, but Seattle area gets a lot of the resources. And we launched the initiative with them for the laptops, and we raised over $45,000 to help offset the levy that they had that didn't actually go for 1-to-1 ratio, one laptop per one child. It was actually 3-to-1, 3 kids to 1 laptop. So I got to get to know the district and a lot of the parents, and spoke to a lot of the principals and some of the teachers in the school district. And they've just been talking about how good these kids have been and all the hard work they're putting in, not just the staff also, but learning over 67% of their students are free and reduced lunch. I was one of those children when I grew up in Seattle in White Center. And I remember going to the food bank with my mom in Thanksgiving holidays, whether we had it at our house or other people's house. There's times we still had to go to the food bank. So I just said, you know what, let's put it in God's hands. Let's make a call to action to the community and figure out how we can help these students and their families just come together and just really piggyback off that laptop initiative. But that's what Chip In is. We're designed to raise money for the community too. You see people on our platform who can put fundraisers on our site, but we're proactive and grassroots of what we're going to do in the community. And what we're going to launch next month is really going to shock the world, because 100% of what comes in is going to go back out into the communities, and we're full transparency with our platform. And if you can imagine giving to a community platform where everyone can see the money and see where it goes out, why would you not continue to support one another? So that was my mission when I hooked up with Doxa out of Redmond, their former high-level Microsoft architects that left back in 2008, to go find the next Bill Gates and start up small ideas, turn them into big plays. So, my whole life, the community helped raise my brother and I be who we are today. So I really just said, let's put technology around this and let's help communities with a trusted source where they know the money and they can see it and they can follow it.
You know what? I just got to say, a lot of my work, this is a little bit away from my questions, but a lot of my work is centered around how we create a new economic system, because so many people have been, blocked out of capitalism in a way, and it really has caused so many disparities. So I really appreciate that you're taking a different, innovative approach in terms of how communities can invest in themselves. That's a beautiful thing. So in terms of this campaign, how far are you from your goal? Or how close?
Yes, ma'am. Great question. And thank you for asking that. So we've raised over $6,000 so far in the last 2 weeks. The fundraiser actually ends this Sunday. We're working with Genio on the turkeys, and we've actually formed a partnership with World Vision. And World Vision is actually going to come in and also deliver food boxes for the families as well, PPE, sanitizer, masks, you name it, and really amplify our effort and the community's effort. So Again, we're $14,000 away from the goal. I feel strongly we can crush that. I would say the call to action to the community is chip in just one time our state minimum wage. That's $13.50. And if we can gather that, we can help feed 20,000 students and make sure their families have a really good holiday season. And it really touched my heart what you guys just talked about, all the people that are going to be sent home this evening. That's a part of what we're launching next month to help everyone in need. And it's going to be awesome. And I just appreciate your guys' support and reaching out. I love your guys' show. You guys are amazing. You guys actually care about people. That's what really moves me. You're not just a media company that just wants your own brand recognition. You guys actually care. You guys are grassroots. You're connected to the community, really doing things. You're not just saying, listen to my channel and I got some information to share with you. You guys are in the community doing the work. So I salute you to the highest degree, because you guys actually are doers. You're not just putting hashtags on social media and saying, I believe in something. You guys are doers.
We appreciate that, man. And honestly, we really do. And this work does come from the heart. You're absolutely right about that. So I thank you for saying that.
Amen.
Now, how can people apply to receive one of these free turkeys and these food boxes?
Yeah, these are for the students the families that are in the Federal Way School District. There's a newsletter going out on the 21st to all the families, the location, the time where they can receive the turkey. So make sure if you're a Federal Way student or family member watching this, that you pay close attention to your email so you know where, when, and what time. And yeah, you're going to be able to show up at that location at that time and do that drive-by handoff and score a touchdown.
Well, we thank you so much for coming on. Gerald Smiley, this has been really informative for me, and I'm sure for the community as well. So we really appreciate it.
Amen. Likewise. We'd definitely love to talk to you guys offline, how we can further help and assist the community and your media company, and just collaborate through a strategic brainstorming session of what is needed. And then we put the technology around it and go share that message. People can get in touch with us at chip-in.co and look on our homepage to see all the exciting things that we got going on. So appreciate your time. I want to say God bless you, but I also want to say never let anything or anyone ruin your day today, tomorrow, nor ever. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Gerald Smiley. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, I want to thank you for all your support. All right, now we're back. We're still figuring it out over here. Most of the issues are mine, by the way. But Yeah, I saw that. The Gerald, man, that's a great program going on over there. The turkeys, Federal Way.
Yeah.
Right up your alley, literally.
Literally up my alley. And when he's talking about, supporting the families of the kids in the schools in the Federal Way School District, I'm like, hey, we're one of those families, but I love, honestly, that they're bringing it to South King County. I think it doesn't get enough attention. And personally, I love seeing Black-led solutions out there.
Yeah, Smiley's a good guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Always been about community. Yesterday I talked about Victor Jerome Glover, who's currently orbiting above us in the International Space Station, the very first Black crew member on the space station. There have been Black astronauts there help building it out and some everything else, but crew, excuse me, and they'll be there for six months on the space station. So I still got my space bug with me, and you're back on set, and all I could think of was some Black girl magic. And I have here Dr. Mae Jemison, the very first woman of color in space, the very first Black astronaut. And Dr. Mae Jemison went into space in 1992. It's a great story here, just about 3 minutes long. But I was like, Trey be bringing all that Black girl magic. Let me see what I can find to match up with that.
Throughout Mae Jemison's life, excelling in one area has never been enough. Sure, we know her as the first African-American woman in space, but there's so much more that makes Jemison extraordinary. Mae grew up in Chicago, where like most kids, she dreamed of being a fashion designer, archaeologist, or astronaut. She decided at an early age she would go to space. Astronauts back then were exclusively white and male, but those aboard the USS Enterprise on Star Trek were different, particularly Lieutenant Uhura, and that allowed young Mae to see someone that looked like her in space. Even as a kid, she was extraordinary. She graduated high school at 16 and went to Stanford. She double majored in chemical engineering and African and Afro-American studies. During her junior year, she had to decide if she should be a doctor or a professional dancer, which were both legitimate options for her. She chose medical school and even worked in a Cambodian refugee camp in Thailand. And she didn't just become a doctor. In 1983, she became the Area Peace Corps Medical Officer for Sierra Leone and Liberia in West Africa. She managed all the healthcare for the Peace Corps, wrote manuals for self-care, researched rabies with the CDC, and was in charge of medical care for the US Embassy. And she was 27. After 2 years there, she returned to America and began working as a general practitioner in Los Angeles and took graduate-level engineering classes at the same time. And even then, she was still like, I could do more. So she applied to become an astronaut in 1985 and wasn't deterred when the Challenger exploded the next year. She reapplied and was selected out of 2,000 applicants to train to be an astronaut.
And liftoff of Space Shuttle Endeavour.
September 12, 1992, Jemison made history when she took off aboard the Endeavour for 8 days in space. As a science mission specialist, her job was to conduct experiments on the crew on motion sickness and bone cells. After her big dream was realized, Jemison decided to take it easy as an environmental studies professor at Dartmouth College, starting an educational nonprofit, a science camp, and serving as principal for 100 Year Starship, an initiative working to travel beyond our solar system in the next 100 years. Oh, and in 1993, she guest starred on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Jemison has gone back and forth on this whole role model thing. She didn't really want to be the poster child for Black female astronauts, but she did want young girls, and the old white men that would hire them someday, to see that your race or gender doesn't limit you.
Oh my gosh. When you talk about Black girl magic, you are talking about sprinkling that magic all over. That is a phenomenal story. Doing all of that work. I'm sorry, I just got to say, when I think about all the ideas I have in my head, she's letting me know I can actualize them.
Right. No, I agree with you, Trey. And I just kind of knew that that Dr. Mae Jemison's story would be one that's like inspirational. You know, I told you, I used to look up at the stars and dream as a kid. I still do. I still look up at those same stars and be like, wow, what's going on way out there? So, you know, the astronaut bug got me But man, real proud of Victor Glover sitting up there on the International Space Station.
I mean, come on. It's like she paved the way. I mean, she was doing so many different things. So I love hearing this, seeing our folks in every sector of this world. That's what makes me excited, because a lot of times when you think about a young person, being able to see someone like Dr. Jimerson, being able to see somebody like Victor right now in the ethos, that's the exciting piece, because those young people have some example to look up to.
For sure. All right. Well, look, we're getting ready to get out of here. I don't think we got any programming notes for today. It was Tuesday. Probably get some rest, produce some stuff out of here. But we're back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then tomorrow at 6 p.m. it's Seattle News, Views, and Brews with Brian Cownan and Kevin Schofield. So we'll have that going on. And in between, man, we're trying to put some stuff together around our COVID messaging and our COVID programming. So we'll be updating the public more on that tomorrow.
Awesome. Oh, time to stand.
Time to stand. There it is. Man, you look good in wide view, Trey.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to work on my wardrobe. All right, everybody. Until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day.